Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
There's no turning back now.
Let's put on the show.
You are listening to episode number 89 of the Station 71 podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Beth
and Brian.
So this week we are going to, you know what? Let's start with housekeeping. We'll go through our news, and then we have a nice transition here, so we'll leave it that way. So first up on our housekeeping, if you didn't hear last week's episode, we announced that we are doing our second anniversary live show, which if you guys were around for last year, it was a lot of fun. You get to hang out with us for an hour or so. We get to talk Disney and have some fun conversations with you guys. We like when you guys give us listener call-ins and stuff like that, so we can, have some more opportunities to communicate with you guys. But if you didn't hear the announcement, it's going to be July 26th, so next month. You can find the YouTube event at bit.ly s71live2. Go there and you can subscribe to our YouTube page. It'll let you know when we go live, and you can also follow the event, and there should be an option to let you know when we go live as well. So, yay, exciting. Lots of exciting stuff coming up.
Send in your questions.
Yes, please. It's so weird to think that it's been almost 2 years already.
Oh my gosh, right?
I know.
And then we also had a listener call in from Keenan from Part of Our World podcast. We're going to play that now so we can hear what Keenan had to say.
Hello, dear. Thanks for calling.
Hey guys, this is Keenan from Part of Our World podcast. I just listened to your most recent episode on going to Disney when it's crowded or during holidays. Great episode, lots of excellent tips in there. I wanted to comment on one tip in particular, which was when you mentioned either taking advantage of the extra magic hours as a resort guest or trying to avoid them altogether, potentially even going the day after a park has extra magic hours. I think it's an awesome tip, and we tried to do this with our most recent trip. We actually had one day where we had extra magic hours. That was our Animal Kingdom day, so that we could book it later on in our trip to get those Flight of Passage fast passes. Well, it didn't work out at all, because what ended up happening was Disney kept adding extra magic hours to nearly every day, to the point where 5 out of 7 days of our trip had magic hours on the day that we had already booked fast passes for, despite trying to avoid those days. So I just wanted to mention that for your listeners, that maybe they should be aware that you can plan all you want to try to skip those extra magic hour days, but it may actually be advantageous to just try to hit those days and go on those days, because you never know when Disney's going to add extra magic hours or the early morning magic hours or the after hours parties and things of that sort that really kind of change the park population. And I can tell you the days that had extra magic hours were definitely more crowded than the days that did not. So hopefully that's helpful. You guys do a great show, and looking forward to more episodes. Bye.
So thank you, Keenan, for calling in. This is a very awesome tip that I saw this post that kind of reminded me of this after we had said it. It was in one of those Disney Facebook groups, and it was like things that I've learned from this Facebook group, and it was like, buy the dining plan, it's the best thing ever, but also don't buy the dining plan because it's a waste of money. And then like there were like so many things where it's like, do this, but also don't do the same thing that I just listed. And it's kind of true that like we can give tips on things, but it's so situational anymore that it's hard to like actually say this is the definitive way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I think the best thing to take out of our episodes is just being flexible during these crowded times, because that's really it. You being able to play it by ear and make audibles once you're there to make sure that the trip goes right is probably more important than any actual follow this tip we can give.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you guys ready to dive into the news this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first thing that we have on here is that apparently I didn't open the news topics, so that's the first thing. But the actual first news story is that Cruella's Halloween Hideaway at Tony's Town Square restaurant is coming to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. That was very hard to read. It looks like it's kind of a dining experience.
It's the exact same thing almost that the Tony's Most Merriest Town Square party that they announced for Very Merry is going to be. It's basically this $100 extra add-on ticket that you get on top of your Not So Scary ticket that allows you into this lounge type deal that they have set up at Tony's, where you get extra food, alcoholic drinks, and a really good view of the parade.
And mix and mingle with Cruella, apparently.
Which
that would make sense.
That's kind of cool if you're like big on character meet and greets. Like that might be a nice little added perk.
I gotta say, when I did what was it called, Club Villain a few years ago, Cruella was one of the most fun character interactions I've ever had. So if you're a big fan of hers and you have the budget for this, just that alone is kind of an awesome perk, because I feel like she's not out super often. Do you guys ever remember her being out?
I don't know if I've ever seen her.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen her either.
Yeah, especially considering they said they're not going to be having any meet and greets with her at the party, right? So
none of them are meeting and greeting, apparently.
Yeah, so pretty much this would be your only opportunity to meet and greet with her, specifically at least.
I always find that character dining is a more fun experience than like meet and greets are, because with meet and greets, I mean, let me rephrase that. The outside meet and greets, I like the character dinings over them, because it feels like when you have that line of people behind you that you can visibly see, it's almost like you're on a time crunch. Whereas like the characters actually come to you at the character dining. I mean, the inside ones are a little different because there's some crowd control there. But like, I don't know. I think this is a cool opportunity. If you want to meet Cruella, which one is already a character you don't see often, and two, like I'm a very big, advocate for character dining.
Plus, it gives like so much more of a unique experience in the sense of like spontaneity. Like the characters will often use what's going on at your table or whatever, and like roll with that and make a joke out of that or whatever. And it just makes for such a memorable experience rather than walking up and having awkward conversation.
Yeah.
I'm definitely on the same boat with you guys about preferring character dining than meet and greets. I still kind of feel the same way about this one as I did for the one for Very Merry, though, is that it just seems really expensive, and I don't know if I would feel like I would want to be tied down at Tony's to make sure I'm getting my money's worth, which is kind of the exact opposite of what I want to do when I'm at the party.
Well, I'm just going to speak from the Drinking Beth standpoint and to remind everyone that this includes beer and wine, so you could very easily drink your worth of ticket here. If you just go in there, you pound a few beers or chug a few glasses of wine, then you'd be feeling real good for Not So Scary.
There's your value right there.
That's it, man. I'm telling you. I mean, realistically, a glass of wine or a beer at Disney World is like $8 to $10, depending, So, if you could pound 9 of those in there, you have your money right there.
That's true. So our next thing on this list is that Disney has added a new pass for their water parks. The Summer Splash Pass gives summer-long admission to Disney's water parks for the cost of a single day. Looks like beginning July 5th, Disney World pass holders will be able to purchase a new Summer Splash Pass to receive unlimited visits to both of the water parks. The pass costs $69 plus tax, which is the same cost as one day in the water parks.
That's like a really good deal. if you're actually going to be around enough to use it, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know how you could pass this up if you were thinking about going to the water parks. Even if you do for one day, like,
you're not losing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the water parks, and me and my wife go a lot, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit more when we discuss our topic for this week, but it almost seems to me like the just water park pass might even be a better deal.
Yeah. That's where I'm wondering about this. I think it's a good deal if, like, maybe you're unsure and you already had a pass, but, like, I'm wondering where that falls for, like, pass renewals. So I guess the next thing that's on our list here, which is our segue into our news topic this week, is that prices have increased for Walt Disney World annual passes. I don't know how anyone could not know about this because, yeah, it's been everywhere. Basically, all of the annual passes have gone up ahead of Galaxy's Edge, which came the day after they announced that Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World is probably getting pass holder previews.
Or is definitely getting pass holder previews.
Oh, right. But it's only for certain tiers, right?
Platinum and up. So Platinum, Platinum Plus, and Premier Passport, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it's really weird the way they went about this. I feel like it would have gone over, I'm not saying it would have gone over well, but I feel like it would have gone over better if they had announced the price increase and then announced the pass holder previews, because then we would be mad about the increase and be like, oh, okay, well, cool. Like, I'm glad that we're at least going to get a pass holder preview. You know?
Yeah.
Rather than the reverse.
You want to end on the good news, right?
Yeah. It was just like, it feels like they're like pulling the rug out from under us because they're like, hey, pass holders, Platinum and up, asterisk. Here is the news that you're going to get a pass holder preview for Galaxy's Edge. And then literally the next day was like, and it's going up like $200.
I 100% think that this was crowd control. There's no way about this, that this was them saying like, oh yeah, this is only for these select pass holders, but then like eliminating the option for all of those people that were like, oh, maybe if I get into Galaxy's Edge early, that price difference isn't going to be so much, eliminating that option for them to renew at a different pass rate.
I just find it really hard to believe that there are people out there who would pay for an annual pass that they normally weren't going to get just for a chance at a pass holder preview. Just like for anyone out there listening that may not know this, they are not guaranteed. If you're a pass holder, you're not guaranteed a pass holder preview. In fact, apparently only like 30% of pass holders get the email link when it comes out. And like I myself, the only reason I got to go to the Pandora preview was because I was like stalking the subreddit and somebody posted the link. Like I never got the email for that. I never got the email for the Toy Story like pass holder thing. I never got the water park pass holder things or the after hours. I've never gotten anything. Well, and it's ridiculous.
I think I want to say that I think that there are definitely people out there that would pay like the $200 difference between passes to maybe get that chance at Galaxy's Edge. I think that there's definitely a market out there for that. But I think when they upped it to like double that threshold, that may have been the limit. Because I saw people online that when this came out, they were like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to go upgrade my annual pass now. Which like, I don't know if that helps or hurts Disney. Like I feel like they don't need the money from the extra annual passes, but at the same time, they like, extra cash is never a bad thing for them.
No.
They've made that very apparent.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. But anyway, that segues us into our topic this week of the annual pass holder tiers and when they may be eventually worth it to either invest in an annual pass or upgrade your tickets to an annual pass. Yeah, this has been requested a couple times, and we've kind of like, I don't want to say we've put it off, but this is a hard topic for us to kind of cover because the way that the ticket structure is now, it is a little bit harder to kind of figure out when that scale tips of like, do I just buy the park hopper ticket or do I invest in an AP? I think. I don't know about you guys.
All these different annual pass options keep changing, so it's like, you know, in 3 months, this episode might not really be valid anymore with price changes or if they offer new stuff. So
yeah. So, do we just want to go down the list of the annual passes first, talk about what's included in them and what the prices are, and then I guess as we kind of wrap up with that, we could say if it's a good value or not. I think that's probably the easiest way to kind of dissect this whole thing.
Sure.
So, the first option that we have, probably easiest to look at, are the water park tickets. So they offer 2 annual passes for the water parks. There's the water parks after 2, which is only a Florida resident thing, and that's $89. And the water parks annual pass, which is a non-resident and resident option, it's $139 for the water parks only with no blackouts. So we kind of just talked about the price of a water park ticket. It's roughly like $69, right? So about 2-3 visits to the water park, this is pretty much worth it, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to say I don't really understand the water parks after 2 pass because the water parks close at 6. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to do this just because of how limiting it is, and I don't really know who this is for. I mean, obviously for somebody that's very local to Disney, but I don't know. I think it's well worth it if you like the water parks to just go ahead and step up to the regular annual pass for the water parks and not have to worry about the blockout dates and not have to wait until 2 to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, for that extra like $50, it's really just worth it to go for the water park annual pass, unless you know that there's no way that you're going to go for anything before 2, which even then that's so situational. It makes more sense to do the regular annual pass and just get any point that you want.
Brian, let me ask you, do they charge for parking at the water parks?
They do not. So that's
Wow.
definitely another reason why I really like them.
Wow. I think I'm finally starting to see the value in the water parks.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It really is. Like, we love doing it during the summer. Just 1, obviously, to beat the heat, but 2, I feel like the crowds are managed at the water parks a lot better than it is when it's crowded at the regular parks. So usually going on crowded times really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's some value to be had there. So the next ticket that we have on here is one that also does not make sense to me.
Oh, this one makes sense to me.
I get it. It makes more sense than the water parks after 2, but I don't know. Anyway, Epcot after 4 pass, which is a Florida resident only pass. It's $309, gets you into Epcot after 4, free parking, and you also get the complimentary Magic Band. Where's the value for this?
That's weird for me. I mean, it's obviously for people that are going to eat dinner at Epcot, right? I mean, that's what I see this mainly. Right. It's like, I wouldn't want to be tied down to one of these where I have to like pick a certain part of the day where I'm only going to be able to enjoy a park.
Like, me personally, I also wouldn't like having the restriction that this pass has, but I could definitely see some value in it for someone else that is like me, because I am not an early riser typically when I go to Disney. So going to the parks at 4 wouldn't be a huge deal breaker. Like, it would be annoying for sure to have the restriction, which is why obviously I'm not a Florida resident, so I couldn't have it anyway, but I don't like the restriction. But for somebody who's a more casual Disney fan, I think I could see it being of value. Or a more casual Epcot fan, rather.
Yeah, because I think any like Disney fan is going to want to have access to the other parks at least at some point too. So
yeah, I see this as trying to get Florida residents to go to the festivals more, I think. I don't know.
It's like, it's so funny because, you know, they've always said Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom were half-day parks, yet they offer a half-day annual pass for Epcot.
That's a good point. I've never thought about that. But yeah.
I don't know. I think that I can kind of see the value, but this is one that, like, even if I lived in Florida, just not for me, because I, like you said, Brian, I would kind of want access to all the other parks. Like,
right. Like, I would be very curious to see how many people purchase this, because I just don't, I don't see why you would. I mean, it's not like super cheap either. I mean, it's a decent chunk of change to get this, and I feel like people aren't gonna drop that for access to just one park.
Well, to be fair, to kind of play devil's advocate, a one-day Magic Your Way base ticket for Epcot Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom is on regular days it's $113.96. So 3 trips would cover that. If that's regular, I mean, obviously Florida residents get a discount, but I don't know. I think at 3 trips, maybe it's justifiable if you're not going a lot and you're like, okay, maybe we'll go to Epcot a couple times to get dinner. Like, it's not a bad value, but I definitely think there's more value to be had in some of the other past tiers. Which brings us to the next one, which would be the Weekend Select one, which is $350 roughly for Florida residents. It's a Monday through Friday park hopper, free parking at Walt Disney World, free Magic Band, some discounts, and blackout dates do apply for this one.
I think this might be the best deal in the annual pass options.
Yeah.
If it works for you, I'll say that.
If you're a person that's not going to go weekends, like, I could definitely see that being a big deal. And honestly, even if I lived in Florida, like, I don't think I'd want to go on weekends unless that was my only option.
Well, if you think about it, like, I feel like this wouldn't work for a lot of people because, like, a huge, I don't know, chunk of people have a 9 to 5. So it would probably be kind of inconvenient for them to go to the parks for a few hours after work. But if you don't have, like, a traditional, you know, schedule like that, this is a great value.
Or what I think of too is one, either if you are in Orlando or very close to Disney and can pop in there, or if you're somebody that lives further away but are still in Florida and can take advantage of this discount, if you take a week-long trip to Disney and use this as your tickets, like, you have saved a ton of money on tickets.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a good replacement for actual park tickets.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those. It's gonna require some planning and being flexible about when you could go. But I think this is a really good deal if it works out for your schedule.
So the next one after that is the Theme Park Select Pass, which is $439 for Florida residents, not available for anyone outside. Which at this point, I'm just gonna say when they are available first for non-residents, because there's so many Florida resident options here. This one gives you at least 325 days of access to the park. And it's weird because this one you have to actually check the schedule to see if you're blacked out on. Because if I'm remembering this pass correctly, this is the one that you have a lot more blackout dates for, like, varying days. Is that correct?
It's pretty much the entire months of June and July, and, like, the first week of August is blacked out, and all Saturdays. And then, like, the standard, like, really busy weeks, like spring break, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and I think Run Disney events as well at the parks that they take place at.
That makes sense.
But it varies from park to park, so this would, I don't know, maybe this would work for somebody, but it just seems like too much planning and looking ahead for me.
This one reminds me of the annual pass that we talked about for Disneyland a couple weeks ago. where you have to actually schedule your vacation. And
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if this pass goes the way of that in the near future, depending on how that pass turns out.
I mean, yeah, essentially you're doing the same thing. It's just you're not planning it out in Disney's system. You're just planning it out for yourself.
Yeah, you're not making a reservation for it. I don't know. I think this is good for people that aren't. This is good for people that aren't planning to go to the parks much, but kind of want to casually go and want to do a spur of the moment thing, but don't want to spend all the money.
Yeah.
I think this is more of like the value tier. Like, you kind of get the leftover scraps from all of the other ones.
Right. I think that's pretty accurate. But you're saving a ton of money with this one too, so.
Yeah, no, this is a great price. And for $439, again, going back to the one-day Magic Kingdom ticket being like $132 now, like, easily you can get your money out of this in 4 or 5 trips. So then we move on to the silver one. And that, I actually have to open something because I want to say, is this where DVC starts to get them too, or is that gold? I think that's gold. No. Okay, so apparently DVC can buy this one too. So the silver tier pass is $529 for Florida residents. There are select blackout dates, but I'm assuming it's not as high as the theme park select one. Because...
Yeah, I think silver has a lot more. Or, I mean, I'm sorry.
A lot less.
As many. Yeah.
Yeah.
This may not be all of them, but it looks like the marathon weekend, spring break, and the entire summer, essentially June through first week of August.
And December looks like the later half of December is all blacked out too.
Okay.
But other than that, there's not a lot of there's a lot of time that you could spend in the parks for this one, I think.
Yeah, I see a ton of people getting this that I work with or that I'm friends with around here just because a lot of the more casual Disney fans are ones that have kids and maybe they aren't necessarily themselves Disney fans but want to be able to take their kids and stuff. This is it's a pretty good price point, especially I guess for Florida residents to do this. I would imagine this is probably their most popular pass.
I would have to think it's got to be at least their most popular pass with Florida residents.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, it says that they get some discounts. I wonder what that includes.
I don't actually know. I wonder if that's a newer thing because I thought that all the pass holders got the same dining discounts and all that kind of stuff, unless they're referring to something else.
Hang on 1 second because I might have. Yeah, I have the pass holder perks thing right in front of me. It looks like they all have the same dining perks. Because it's kind of all lumped together. Like they say, okay, you get 20% off owned and operated merchandise locations at Walt Disney World, 10% off select dining, and then there's just recreation options and stuff like that, like the standard stuff that you would get for those, 15% off of select tours. It doesn't have it by pass.
Okay.
Wait, hold on.
Do you get parking with silver and gold?
Okay, so I have actually a chart in front of me from this pass holder information, and it looks like silver select weekday and silver select and the weekday select pass all have 10% off table service, 20% off merchandise. Standard theme park parking is free, complimentary Magic Band, and admission to multiple theme parks. The only thing that they don't have included are the photo pass options.
Okay.
So I guess what's the difference in price between silver and gold? Probably. I don't think the difference in price between silver and gold would be make or break for that perk alone, because I think Photo Pass is only like $150 when you get in the parks, or $100. It's pretty pricey, but not. I don't know. I don't think it's that pricey.
I mean, it sounds like you're basically just paying for it and it's included in the price. Like, it doesn't seem like you get much of a price break by signing up for the Gold Pass.
Right. So with that, the Gold Pass is $699. Same perks, probably less blackout dates than silver, and you get the Photo Pass included. Which I think that this is a pretty good deal. This is where it starts to be like, if you're going to be going a lot more, the Gold Pass is more effective for you. And I don't know, I think that this is easy enough to justify the value in for that.
Do we know if gold has less blackout dates?
Yes.
Or is it literally just the Photo Pass is the only added value?
I was pretty sure that they had less blackout dates, but as you say that, I'm not completely sure.
I feel like Disney keeps the blackout dates like in hard to find places.
I have the actual blackout dates. I sent it in the group chat. The Disney blackout dates calendar is actually in what I sent in the group chat. That's the thing that I sent. And
okay.
Gold has options for the summer, so yes, there are less blackout dates. It looks like the only thing that's really blocked out in Gold tier is
Christmas and spring break.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, this one's also
that's pretty good.
Yeah, and this one's also available to DVC. I know a lot of people that have DVC that have this. It's super easy to find the value in that because, all right, let's do the math here. $699. And I kind of figured this out earlier that the average person goes to Disney for about 4 days. So if we're figuring a 4-day park hopper is on average $520, 2 4-day park hopper trips would make up for that. And that's kind of spitballing because like the park hopper tickets range anywhere from $122 to $161 depending on the time of year. So I'd take that with a grain of salt. But if you go on a time where it's like that 130 something a day, like you could easily make this back up in 2 trips.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, DVC itself is a whole nother beast that I am not ready to tackle on this podcast. So we are not going to talk about the cost of that one. But I think if your DVC, you're already locked into enough of a like schedule on when you can go, that if you're going to make 2 trips of 4 days, this is easy enough to justify. Just from a distance standpoint. I'm sure that it's easy enough to justify as a Florida resident.
Honestly, it's probably easy enough to justify in 1 trip if you are using the discounts.
That's true, too. I see, when I look at these things, I always look at them as park tickets, but I don't ever think about the discounts, and that's probably something that not a lot of people consider, too. So that
the
alone
discounts are awesome. Like, I find that I make up most of my pass is like made up by park tickets, but a good chunk of it is made up by discounts as well.
Yeah,
I have a spreadsheet, obviously.
It's one of those things for me. It's like, yeah, it saves me money, but I also can't count the number of times that I've said, oh yeah, hey, we get the discount, let's just go ahead and do this, or let's go ahead and buy this, and it's like, oh dang, that's worked. That marketing worked on me.
Yeah. I don't like to think about whether or not I would purchase the thing without the discount. I choose to just think that I would.
I'm sure that I would not buy things if I didn't have the discount, because I don't, and I try not to buy stuff.
I'm usually pretty good. Like, I don't buy literally every single thing I see and like. I'll like, if I know that it's not something super limited, I'll like think about it over the trip and then get it if I really want it.
The worst thing for me is like, because we have the Disney VC, you get the merchandise discount. So like there have been times that we've been places and I know I've bought stuff just because we get a discount on it. But other than that, like, I mean, I'm pretty bad about buying collectibles. I am the same person that bought one of the alien popcorn buckets on our last trip. So, I guess these next three are very similar. The next one on the list is the Platinum Pass, which is for annual or Florida residents and DVC, $899, but for non-residents, it's $1,119. That deep sigh says that Beth is not ready to renew her annual pass.
I have until October. I'm gonna hope that the blow is softened by then.
So diving into this a little bit, at least for the discounts, because I want to talk about the big one at the end of when we start talking about the three that are included in the preview. But this gives you access to all 4 parks with park hopping, free parking, free Magic Band, free photo pass, and then all of the other ones. So discounts on rooms, dining, merchandise, and the big thing about this is it has no blackout dates. I think, again, still a hike on this, still a lot of money to spend on an annual pass to Disney, but it's easy enough to justify. It's still not, it's expensive. It's gotten a lot more expensive, but if you're coming a couple times a year, you could still find the value in this, I think. That's the one thing that I kind of want to touch on is, like, everyone is really, really hitting on these price hikes. Everyone's really kind of stressing out about the price of the APs increasing, but there's definitely still a value to be had in them.
For sure.
But the big thing is now Platinum and up are the ones that are eligible for the Galaxy's Edge preview, as far as we know. Disney did come out on the Parks blog and say that, I believe. So it is still out there. We just don't know how they're sending out the access to that, because if it's anything like the Pandora preview, I know you guys were a little stressed because they weren't sending out the emails to everyone.
I literally, if I wasn't on the subreddit, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Right. So
that's literally the only reason, is because somebody posted the link.
So I'm wondering how that's going to pan out. But I want to know if after Galaxy's Edge has kind of died down, if we're going to see the annual passes go down at least a little bit. I don't think so, but
100%. I would put my next paycheck on them not lowering these.
I don't think they are, but I it's still a thought in my head that they may have just done this to limit the Galaxy's Edge previews.
First of all, I think once a ticket price goes up, that's it. Like, it's not going back down.
That's a hard line every time.
Second of all, I feel like they would have a lot of angry pass holders that bought a $1,200 pass, and then 6 months later it's $200 cheaper. That just is bad PR.
I don't think it would go down like $200. I mean, like, tiny chip off of it, like, okay, yeah, we heard you, you're angry about this, like, to kind of qualm some people's frustration. But I also don't think the people that have been vocal about, like, not renewing their pass are going to actually not renew their pass. Like, here's the thing. I don't think so either. Here's the thing, like, even if you don't renew your pass now, like, you're going to give Disney your money in some way or another. Like, the whole voting.
No, I'm going to renew my pass. That's why I hate this company so much.
Well, no, not you.
Like,
I just mean,
they
like,
have me.
Right.
I'm stuck.
Not you, but like the people that I've seen online, they're like, I'm not going back to Disney. They raised annual pass prices up too much. Like, you're going to go back. You just might not have an annual pass, and you're going to pay the same price.
Yeah, the fact that they're so upset about it says how much they want to go to Disney. They're still going to go to Disney.
Right. That's where I'm like, all right, guys, come on. Like, if I thought about buying into an annual pass this last trip, like, I really thought about it, and I could have figured the value in there to the point that, like, it would have made sense for us, but I just didn't. And I kind of regret that, because I probably could have squeezed another Disney trip in this year if we did. But, like, I know that Disney has
trip
me.
You probably wouldn't have taken without the pass.
Right. But here's the thing. The people that are upset about it, like, if I had bought in on a pass on this, I would have gone and whatever. I would have had the flexibility to go whenever I wanted, which would have been great. But now these people are going to get stuck in the planning. They're going to get stuck in the different tiers of ticket pricing, which I think that's already more annoying than just paying one time outright for the whole year. The way that they do ticket pricing now is just so frustrating. It's not even funny. Like, all of these people that are frustrated about it are going to end up seeing how much harder it's gotten to book a Disney trip now, and they're going to give up. That's my thought.
It definitely is. And as somebody that has a Platinum Plus pass, like, yeah, all the stuff that's included is great, but the convenience of just saying, hey, let's get in the car and go to Disney tomorrow, like, that in itself is a huge perk.
Right, and that's what I was saying, like, when I was looking at these ticket prices, like, granted, when I buy tickets, I don't look at the days that I could get them cheaper. Like, eventually down the line, I want to do a whole breakdown of the ticket pricing and, like, figure out where it's cheaper to buy tickets and stuff like that, because there's a lot of good places to look for deals. But, like, for me, it's just easier to say, I'm going to Disney this day and this day. It's cheaper to get a hotel room this day, and then whatever the park hopper costs, it costs. Like, well,
you know, that's the thing that's always kind of confused me, is that they say that they're staggering the prices to help control the crowds, but I don't feel like people plan a big vacation like this, like that, and the prices aren't different enough to really cost prohibit people from doing it at certain times of the year.
Yeah.
I feel like
100%.
if you've got the time off, say in September to go, and that's when you were planning to go, you're not, or I guess a better example would be during the summer to go, and you say, oh, well, it's, $20 a ticket cheaper if we wait to one of the off seasons. Like, people don't really get to plan vacations out like that all the time, so I don't see the point. I don't know why they don't just pick a median number where they're gonna have the same profits throughout the year and just keep that.
Right. I don't know, and that's where the tickets are getting frustrating, but that's a whole nother topic. That is a whole nother field that we can dig into, and I can have a giant rant about that. But moving on to, well, let's back it up, because I don't know if I've asked this yet, but Beth, I know you have the Platinum Pass, right? You don't have Platinum Plus.
Right.
Obviously you see the value in it, but, like, what point would you know, like, okay, I'm going to Disney X number of days, and, like, just for your experience, not from a mathematical standpoint, like, would it be that you're going for 2 trips and AP is for you?
I feel like for it to continue to make sense for me, like, before I was an annual pass holder, I was taking at least a week-long trip every year to Disney. So it just kind of started making sense once you thought about all of the perks. The thing I feel like Brian kind of nailed it with the, like, convenience of not having to plan it, just being able to say, this is when I'm going, and not have to think about buying tickets and stuff. The other thing I think that adds a lot of value to, in my opinion, is that you have this mindset of, if you wake up late on a vacation day, even if you're not a local like me, I live in South Carolina, I'm 7 hours away. If I'm down there and I wake up late and I just want to go to the park for, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, I don't feel like I've wasted money, if that makes sense, because it didn't I'm not using an actual ticket. Yeah. So I feel like it definitely varies a lot from person to person, like, what value the pass has at what point it's, like, worth it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely agree.
I agree with that too. And the thing with the platinum the platinum tier, I just did the math on it, and for the $1,119, it's the average of 3 4-day park hopper, like, tickets. So if you're going 3 times a year, that's enough to justify that single platinum pass cost.
Just for, like, a reference standpoint, my personal experience, like I've said in the past, I'm a huge OCD spreadsheet nerd, so I have a spreadsheet that I keep up with, like, at what point I break even, because it's, like, really fun for me to know that, weirdly. So this pass that I'm currently on, I took a trip in December that we went to the parks for, I think, 2 days, and then I took a trip in February where I went to the park for 2 days. And that pretty much made me break even between tickets, parking, and merchandise discounts. But that is including the cost of Memory Maker. But still, like, it's not, like, if you're going to be going on one big trip or a couple of little trips, it's pretty easy to make up the cost.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And I don't know. I think this one's very easy to justify. Like, I think all of the platinum passes are if you're going for at least 2 trips.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next one, I guess, the Platinum Plus, that's the one you have, right, Brian?
Yes.
Okay, so that one is for Florida residents. Let's just round it up and say $1,000. And then $1,219 for non-residents. Includes pretty much everything in the previous tier, but also includes the 2 water parks, ESPN Wide World of Sports, the golf course, and I think that's it.
Yeah. Me and my wife both have Platinum Plus passes, and we don't take advantage of Wild Roller Sports, any golfing, but we do the water parks a lot, and that's why we have it. And I know it's expensive, but for us, and as often as we go, it is a no-brainer.
I mean, it's only $100 difference from the Platinum, so if you go to the water parks twice, you've already
I would
paid
say,
back that.
Yeah, on average, we probably go to the water parks at least 5 times a year, if not more. So, I mean, yeah, it's way, way cheaper for us to do it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, this one's still kind of...
like...
Go ahead.
I've considered this, but I just feel like I never find the time to go to the water parks. I know I need to.
If I probably wouldn't have it if I was coming
Not
on
local.
a trip. Yeah, because for us, like I said, we take advantage of it during the summer when it's super hot at the parks and we're trying to beat the crowds and stuff. But yeah, if I was coming down for a trip and like having to plan out a little bit and everything, I would probably want to spend most of my time just in the theme parks. So I wouldn't probably want to spend the extra $100 for this. But yeah, for us being able to take advantage of the water parks and just kind of that's our big, just like a lot of times when we say, we have like a lazy weekend or something and we're just like, oh, we didn't really plan on doing anything. We want to go to the water parks today. It's like, oh yeah, and we'll just hop over there. So I really like the convenience of having that. It's definitely worth the extra $100.
I imagine that it's a lot less taxing than going to the parks for the day.
Oh, definitely. And that's the thing. It's kind of like
it's your way to wind down.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I know I've said, like, we're, like, semi-local. It takes us about an hour and 15 minutes or so to get to the parks. So even though we're pretty close, it's still like, all right, let's get the bag ready, get everything packed up. We got to usually try to get up somewhat early and everything to get into the parks. But with the water parks, it's just like whenever we wake up, we will mosey our way on over there. And it's nice, kind of relaxing way to do it.
So I didn't think about this before, but as you were talking about the value of the water park, I priced out a 1-ticket 4-day park hopper, but added the water park plus option, which is only an additional $20 more. It still kind of falls in the same value as the Platinum and Platinum Plus. And I think it's kind of funny that if you break them down to be like I've been doing with the 4-day park hopper tickets, it still actually equates to like the same value. So, I mean, it's definitely worth it, I think. If I went to Disney twice a year and I was, 3 times a year because it's like 2.5-ish. If I went to Disney that many times a year and I wanted to do the water parks, this would be the one I would go for, because just having that option to do an additional 2 parks and, I mean, all of the other stuff that's added in that I would probably never do. I think this is 100% where I would be.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, we've had them for the 3 years that we've been in Florida and have never done anything at Wide World of Sports or any of the golf courses or anything.
What even do you do at Wide World of Sports, honestly?
I haven't been there since I was a little kid. I know the biggest thing...
I've never been there.
Biggest thing for me when I was a kid was that I'm from Atlanta, and it's where the Braves spring training was, so it was kind of cool if we were down there on a trip that happened to be during spring training. We could, pop in there and either catch one of the spring games, or a lot of times you could see them practice and, actually get to meet a couple of the players afterwards, which was fun. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything now that really draws me to go to Wide World of Sports.
I'm looking at their like event lineup, and it looks like it's a lot of like youth events. Like there's softball tournaments, baseball tournaments, basketball tournaments, and they're all like teenager stuff, and the cheerleading competitions are here. So personally, I don't see a value here. But
so, like, hypothetically, let's say I was in high school and I had a friend on the cheerleading team or whatever. Basically, the benefit of me having that perk would be that I don't have to pay to go watch them compete.
Probably.
Yes.
I would imagine that that's what it is, because it's what it looks like. On here, all I'm seeing are, like, Ideal Sports Soccer Academy, cheerleading competitions, Pro Bowl week. Like, there's not really any major sporting events here, but it looks like it's all like junior stuff.
So like, can you not play like casually here? Like, this isn't somewhere you can go to like,
oh no, I don't.
If for some reason you wanted to go play baseball on your Disney vacation or something.
Oh, no, I don't
Probably
think you actually
not.
have access to the playing fields or anything like that.
It looks like you could probably tour them, and that might be cool, but I don't know. I'm not a sports person, so this is not at all in my wheelhouse. So the last pass holder tier is the Premier Annual Pass, which is $2,099 for Florida residents and same price for out of state.
I'm pretty sure this one comes with a top hat and a monocle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any difference between them? I don't.
No, I mean, other than it giving you, access to both parks, both coasts.
So, all right.
Yeah, it includes access to all 4 of the Walt Disney World parks and the 2 Disneyland parks with free parking at both, plus the water parks, Wild World of Sports, and the golf course.
Here's the weird thing about that to me. Like, Disneyland tickets aren't nearly as expensive as Walt Disney World tickets. So, like, I think this one's really hard to find the value in unless you're doing probably 2 trips to both coasts. No, well, I don't know. The easy way to say it would be like 3 in one. This is basically for like
real rich people.
Yeah, if you're gonna just,
I feel like this is for somebody that is local to one of the parks and also has a trip to the other coast planned that year. That's the only way I see this making sense.
Yeah.
Or if you have if you live in one of these places and you are super loaded and want to take regular trips over there.
Well, that goes without saying. You probably have to, you got to be decently loaded to afford one of these anyways.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this one's going to be really hard. This is going to be a hard pass for me, I think.
Now, let's talk about the most expensive annual pass, which is the one that comes with the Club 33 membership.
Is there actually an annual pass that comes with Club 33 membership?
Well, yeah, when you get membership, you get, you and your family, I think.
Throw it in there. Jeez.
Yeah. Crisp 33 grand annual pass there.
That is too expensive for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I would say most people would say that's too expensive for them.
Yeah.
That's not even we're going to have to rearrange the budget type of deal. That's like a what? Just hard no. How does...
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't
even an
understand
option.
that. That's like more than a mortgage payment for the majority of people for a year.
That's
crazy.
The ticket that people that have just too much money to spend just need a thing to blow it on. That's what they buy.
Yeah.
So, last kind of question that I have for you guys, because this is the question that comes up, is which passes do you think are the most worth it? I know we kind of went over when it's situationally worth it, but which one would... Obviously, you guys have your Platinum and your Platinum Plus, but if you were in different situations, would you buy a different pass, or do you just think that you're getting the best value you can for your passes?
Oh, I mean, like I said, Platinum Plus works out very well for me and my wife, but I would definitely not suggest it for everyone. If I had to look at one of these and pick what I think is probably the best deal, I would probably, for the majority of people, I would say the theme park select one is. I know that's kind of a cop out since it's only available for Florida residents, but I think that one provides the most value for the money, not super restrictive lockout dates and stuff, and really a really cheap price. I mean, it's half the price of a Platinum Plus pass. So if I, didn't go as often as I did, that would definitely be the one that I went with.
Yeah. If I was a Florida resident and I was less bougie, I would also. But I think it's, like, to reiterate, it kind of sucks that out-of-state people only have the option of Platinum or Platinum Plus or Premier Passport, extra bougie. But, and I don't really see the point in that. I don't know if that's a topic we want to delve into. But also, don't Florida residents can pay monthly, correct?
Yes, that is one of the biggest. I guess we probably should have covered that too, and I kind of forgot until you said that. But yeah, that's a huge perk of the Florida resident discounts.
Do they break that down by percent, or is it just like they give you a monthly payment?
No, what do you mean by percent?
Like, do they say like, okay, you have the whole year to pay it off, so you have to pay like X number of percent a year, or like, do you have to put a down payment on it and then? Okay.
You put a down payment, and I think last year I'm wanting to say it was like $225 down for a Platinum Plus, and then the rest of it is taken out monthly. And it's nice because they don't charge interest or anything, so it's, it doesn't really make much sense to not do it that way unless you just don't like having that payment hanging over your head and you want to pay it outright. But I mean, it's the same amount of money either way, so we always just pay it monthly.
And it's not a lot,
Man,
is it?
I would love that option.
Mm-hmm. It's nice because I know that's what, when I first saw the price increases, I was like, dang, I don't really want to put that money down right now. And then I'm like, oh wait, I don't have to. I can do it over time.
It's super fun when, like, basically if you're out of state, you either have to, like, kind of put a little bit away throughout the year, or if you are a procrastinator like I am, you just have to, like, pull $1,000 out of nowhere all of a sudden. So it's a super fun time of year when I renew my annual pass.
Oh, that's a lot of money to just pull out of nowhere.
It's
Yeah,
Disney
it
and
is.
ramen month.
I think for me, because I know we've said on here before that like we may eventually buy DVC. The option that like some of the only Florida resident ones have access to, the DVC members have access to that too. I think Gold would be the value I would see out of it. Just knowing that like, me not having the flexibility to say like I'm just going to drive down for a weekend and doing that. Like I know that I don't have that, so I don't think I could find the value in Platinum and higher. I think Gold is probably the best way to go for me.
Yeah,
But-
that makes sense because you're having to plan your trip regardless
Right.
of what pass you have.
Now, granted, if we don't buy into DVC, then I have no choice to buy but to buy the Platinum Pass. But I don't know.
I was just curious if asking Brian as a pass holder, is there, not speaking really money-wise, but is there a point in which, like, if they revoked certain privileges, you would consider, like, hey, maybe this isn't worth it anymore?
Oh, parking. That's what it is.
I was about to say, honestly, like, from a financial standpoint, it wouldn't really make much, like, it, from a purely principle standpoint, because if they came out and went up again on the annual price, I am probably still going to pay it unless it's something like absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, if they come out and take away free parking, I might not do it just because of that, because that is one thing that I think is starting to get out of hand at Disney. And if they were to take away that from pass holders, I think that would just be an awful look. Like, you can just make the annual pass cost more, but I don't want to have to deal with that every time I go to the parks, first of all. So just, yeah, that would probably take me out of it right there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What about you, Beth?
I agree. Parking would be a major, like, bummer to have to deal with. So I'm not going to say that if they took away free parking that I wouldn't get an annual pass, but it would definitely make me actually sit down and reconsider it.
I'm surprised that, like, that, to me, like, you being the spreadsheet queen, I would not be surprised if you sat down and just, like, rewrote your entire, is this going to work out for me?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, just to give you guys, like, a comparison, on my current pass, it has been about $900 worth of ticket costs and $100 worth of parking. So, because usually I will, like, if I'm staying on property, I'll take Disney transportation, thus I don't have to pay for parking, or I'll just, like, a lot of times I'll ride in with my best friend who's a cast member, so he doesn't have to pay for parking. So I don't know, those are very situational. Like, I kind of have ways around, I guess, that a lot of people might not, you know, not having friends that are cast members that live down there.
Yeah.
But it would still be, like, I don't know, an extra thing in my budget that I wouldn't want to have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, we probably go into the parks at least 20 times a year, and that's probably a lower estimate. But for parking then, you know, they would have to go up $400 on an annual pass for it to equal them taking away free parking for us. So that is a lot. So yeah, if they took away free parking, it'd be a huge financial increase.
Yeah. Disney, though, if you happen to be listening, it would be a real nice perk for annual pass holders not to have to pay the parking fees at resorts.
Definitely.
Just saying, I was pretty annoyed that was a thing. It's like, why, like, what is to stop someone that doesn't want to pay the parking fee at the resort that has an annual pass from just, like, leaving their car in the parking lot?
Yeah, I don't understand.
They're not going to tow it after one day. So if you just, like, move it to a different park every day, not condoning this, but I just feel like it should have been, like, second nature for them to allow, like, have annual pass holders, like, their parking fees were included.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a very weird thing. Like, I don't understand why. I guess because they're trying to limit it to just the resort guests and make people use their transportation. I don't know. But that's always been a very bizarre thing.
One thing
Also,
I would really like is it's probably never going to happen, but it would be really nice to have preferred parking on some of the upper level annual passes too.
Mm-hmm. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I was just going to, on the note of parking at the resorts, just a little tip out there for everybody. Make sure you look at your little statement when you check out, because a lot of times they'll just automatically assume that you have a car and put the parking charge on there, even if you fly in, because that happened to a friend of mine where they've literally flew in. And because they took a lift back and scanned their magic band to get in, they were like, oh, you have a car, we're going to charge you the parking fee. And he had to, like, go get it sorted out.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's the one
So
thing that I would,
beware of
like,
that.
If you're not taking Disney transportation, like, always pay attention to everything that is on there. Like,
Yeah.
luckily for us, we don't fall into that because we fly in and don't ever rent a car. But, like, the way that they do that system is so screwed up that it stinks. I think there's a lot of things that we could really discuss with that.
Yeah, it's just that they don't verify it in any way. Like, I'm not saying, this is a thing, but someone that I know stayed on property recently, and this person and their friend each drove separately.
Oh, no.
And only got charged parking for one car.
Oh. I thought
So
that was going to go
that
worse
was
than
a-
it did.
No, that was a benefit for that person who is not me. But it just proved that there was no rhyme or reason, that they have no verification process at all, whether or not you have a car.
Yeah,
It's stupid.
it really
I'm
is.
still mad about it. Whatever. I don't even stay on property that much, and I'm mad about it.
Well, I think that was a lot of good information, and I definitely think that we hit the initial question of what are our feelings about the pass holder tiers and covered this price increase pretty well. So then that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you want to be a part of the show, reach out to us on our website at www.station71podcast.com, where you can find links to all of our social media, our email address, and our brand new Google Voice line where you can leave us a voice message. Have anything you want to hear us talk about, we'd be happy to discuss that on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed your ride, and we'll see you real soon.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.